Welcome to episode 42 of Book Nerd Paradise, where we get to know an author as they tell us one of their favorite quotes, read from their work, pose a trivia question, and give away a book or two. Hi, I'm LRW Lee, author of the Andy Smithson Epic Fantasy Adventure Series. And as always, there is the prequel, Power of the Air's Passion, as well as book one, which is Blast of the Dragon's Fury, that the ebooks are available for free download on Amazon. So please take advantage of those, because coming up January the 13th, book 5 of the series releases. So you wanna get up to speed before that happens. So, all right. So today we have a treat. YA fantasy author Wendy Wang is our guest. Wendy says it's always been a dream of hers to write. In fact, she even has a degree in English literature. She lives in Santa Clara, California with her husband, their dog Molly, and 2 rescue cats. When she's not writing, she says she's reading, and when she's not reading, she's futzing around in the garden that has a little pond with it. Sounds nice. Please join me in welcoming Wendy Wang.
Hi, how are you?
Great. It's good to see you, Wendy.
Good to see you too.
So, Wendy, you'll be reading from your YA fantasy novel, The Last Queen, which is book 1 in the Kaels series. So that we get a feel for the book, would you briefly summarize it?
The first book is about Neela, Princess Neela, and she's the second daughter of the Queen of Kaels. So her position is not very important in her eyes, but to her mother, she is a political, I hate to say pawn, but that's how Neela sees herself, as a political pawn. And she doesn't want that. She wants more than anything to prove who she is. And when civil war breaks out, she seizes a chance to prove to her mother and to the realms that she's more than just the second daughter of the queen. She faces an insidious foe who actually knows her very well, to reunify the realms, and to do that, she could very well lose her life. So that's it, or everything she holds dear, not just her life, but the if she can't reunify the realms, then they lose their whole way of life. The subsequent books after this are focused on characters who are a wood Kael, a metal Kael, a fire Kael, a water Kael, and an earth Kael. And there are a few other books as well that will be a little different from that are part of this overarching story that starts with Princess Neela and ends far in the future, which I'm not going to tell you. And it's funny how this series even started, because I wrote the ending novel long before I ever even conceived of this series. I wrote that novel, and it has not been published. It's still sitting on my hard drive. It has been edited, but it has not been published. And I was actually working with an editor and got about 3/4 of the way. I shouldn't say it's fully edited. It's 3/4 of the way edited. And we had a little bit of a falling out. And I kind of lost my confidence, and my husband was like, well, you just need to write something. You're driving me crazy. Just write something. So I started thinking about it, and I thought, okay, well, I'll write a prequel. I'll write something short. I'll just write 30,000 words, a short prequel. And it'll be about the characters in the last novel, it's their mother. It ended up being 87,000 words long, and a whole series was born. So that will eventually lead to that novel. So
awesome. Wow, 87,000 words. That's a big detour, I'd say.
Yeah, it was, because for a while there, my husband was like, are you ever going to finish this book? And I was like, yes, I am, I promise. And I did. I finished it, and I published it and moved on to the next one. So
do you have a favorite quote? What is it? And then if you would, tell us why it's a favorite.
I have several favorite quotes, but I'll give you one of my most favorite, I guess. And that is, it's by Mark Twain. And that is, the secret of getting ahead is getting started. I know that I have encountered many, many writers who say, well, this gets in the way and that gets in the way. And, when I start my book or when I do this, and that's, if you're going to write, you have to write, you have to dedicate time to it, and you have to dedicate resources to it, and not just monetary resources, but mental resources, because half of book writing is thinking. I do a tremendous amount of thinking about plot and structure and characters, and the only way to get ahead in any business, but especially in the writing business, is to get started. So that's why it's one of my favorites.
That's awesome. Yes, how true that is. It's almost like it's the get the butt in the seat kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Button chair. Yes, absolutely. BFD.
Yes. How often we as writers have that problem. Any place but there, please, no. Don't make
Yes. Yes.
You're also giving away a book. If you would tell us what you're giving away.
I'm giving away one of my paperbacks, and I'm giving away 3 copies of the ebook of the same paperback.
Great. Awesome. Okay, so the paperback goes to a U.S. winner, and then ebooks, the 3 ebook copies will go to anybody. So whether you're U.S. or international, you can enter to win one of those four prizes. That's awesome. So to enter to win, all you need to do is leave a comment down below, right here, in the comment box. Just tell us anything you liked about the show, and then please leave a Twitter handle or Facebook, some way to get a hold of you, because I find that most people either don't know they have a YouTube message box, or they don't pay attention to it. So if they win, then it's been hard to get a hold of them. So please leave a way to get a hold of you, and then if you're one of the lucky 4 winners, we will notify you immediately. You'll be reading from the novel The Last Queen, which is book 1 in the Kaels series. Would you briefly set up the portion you'll be reading from and then share with us?
And I'm reading a section. It is after Princess Neela has escaped briefly from her palace. She and her sister have been cooped up with their mother, who is in mourning. Well, they're in mourning also after her father has died, and they've she feels like she's been kept captive. So she decides that she's going to escape, and she gets out of the palace, and she immediately runs into a queen's guardsman, and they're called wardens. And he's very handsome and very charming, and she knows him because he's actually the son of one of the governors of the realms. And he has accompanied her on a hike into the mountains which surround the palace. So, and he actually persuaded her to come with him because he said he wanted to show her something. I should also set this up as Neela is a Kael, and the Kaels can command the elements. So they can command the elements fire, water, metal, earth, and water. Look. He pointed to a stone building balancing precariously on the jutting rock face. The towers of Brithrin's castle stood at attention, ever watchful, even though no one had occupied the castle in more than 3 centuries. Vines claimed part of one wall, but at least the trees had not tried to take root. There it is, he said. Have you ever been inside? No, of course not. Just look at it, she said. One strong wind, and I bet it would topple over. Oh, I think it's safer than that. Come on, he said, taking her hand. There's something I want you to see. Her belly fluttered as he laced his fingers with hers and pulled towards the base of the rock wall, where an ancient staircase almost blended completely with the gray lichen-covered rock. He swept the snow and ice aside with his baton and started the ascent with her in tow. As they drew closer to the top, a vine brushed across her neck and she shivered. Not willing to take any chances, she held up her dagger in case something worse than a vine appeared. Peter guided her around the crumbling wall, their boots scraping across the carved granite blocks. "Come on," he said, flicking his wrist so the tip of his baton glowed red and caught fire. Neela blinked, slow and steady as she breathed in the sharp fumes of dead leaves and stale air. She had never been inside the ruins before. It was always thought to be too dangerous. Holding her dagger out in front of her, the blade glowed blue, casting an eerie glow in the grand entrance hall. Ashy gray light filtered in through long slit windows, making the shadows deep. The hairs on the back of her neck stood at attention like waiting sentinels, ready to warn her of any real danger. Once they reached the center of the room, she heard something unnatural, something that made her want to turn around and run away. Whispering, whispering, whispering. Her eyes went to the vines, looking for signs of the wind blowing through, tricking her into thinking she'd heard whispers. "Hello?" she said. "There's no one there," he said softly. "You hear it too," she said. "Oh, yes. That's how I found it. It called to me." He grinned, taking her hand in his again. "Come on." The fire from his baton lit the way, driving back some of the darkness, making the shadows leap around them. Her grip tightened on her dagger as he dragged her towards the stone steps. "Wait, are these safe?" She stopped at the first step. Leaf litter and dirt covered the wide stone treads. In the shadowy light, she saw a vague trail of cleared space, with boot prints. They looked fresh. "Safe enough," he said. She pulled her hand from his and pointed her dagger at the stone stairs. She closed her eyes and thought of nothing but reinforcing the stone steps, ensuring the foundation was strong and that no harm could come to them as they climbed. She touched her dagger to the first step, and a tremor went through the staircase. "Should be safe now," she said. "Ladies first." The whisper, which grew louder as they came up to the balcony, looking down on the entrance, drove her forward. Peter touched her shoulder, and she almost came out of her skin. He put his finger to his lips and took the lead. They moved towards a narrow corridor and rounded a sharp corner. Her eyes adjusted, and she noticed patterns in the walls. Parts of the ceiling had squares cut into them, driving back the thick darkness with milky gray light, and they continued to wind their way through a maze of halls. Finally, she saw it in the distance, a large rectangle glowing pale white. The whispering stopped as they drew closer. Peter extinguished his torch and reholstered his baton as they entered another grand hall. As she approached the center, she spun around and saw there were dozens of paintings, frescoes, lining the walls. "A gallery," she whispered. "Yes, Princess, a gallery," Peter grinned. "This is amazing," she said under her breath. "That's what I hoped you'd say," he said. For the next hour, as what little light shone inside grew dimmer, she walked along the hall, stopping at each painting. Some she recognized, but most she did not. All of them had a ghostly glow to them. As she made her way around, the whispering began again, and a chill crawled over her spine, making her turn toward it. She understood now what Peter meant. It called to her too, and she could not stop herself from getting close to it.
Okay. Our guest author last week, YA fantasy author Roy Huff, posed a trivia question for us.
Right. So my trivia question was, who was the third pillar of truth in the original timeline? And the answer is Owen's father.
You have a trivia question for us.
What was the name of the dark spell that Harry Potter use in the Half-Blood Prince?
Ooh, that's a great question. So all of us Potterheads, we need to noodle with this one. So yes, Half-Blood Prince. Got it. What was the name of that dark spell? All right. So make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you don't miss the answer next week when she reviews it. So Wendy, are there any final thoughts you'd like to leave with our listeners?
So please pick up my book, The Last Queen. It's free on Amazon, and it leads right into a series of books, which I hope you will enjoy. And if you are a writer, just keep on plugging away.
Yes, absolutely. So I guess that goes right back into your favorite quote. Plugging away, but you got to get started first. Absolutely.
Got to get started.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for those words. So I hope you all have enjoyed getting to know Wendy Wang just a little bit. I'm LRW Lee, author of the Andy Smithson Epic Fantasy Adventure Series. Please do feel free to download the prequel as well as the first book in the series, which books are free on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Google Play. Click the button to subscribe to the Book Nerd Paradise YouTube channel so you don't miss upcoming authors, giveaways, and answers to trivia questions. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to seeing you again next Monday.